Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to our Spiritism talk tonight. My name is Publio. I'm going to sing a couple of songs, preparing our environment, preparing our place for us to study a little bit of the gospel according to Spiritism. So, vibrate. When life lends a hand, it's time to open up your heart. It is time to love one another. It's time to take part. Vibrate always, loving and serving everyone. Vibrate always, loving and serving everyone. When we give our heart in charity, our lives are transforming into song. Our dreams become reality. And we join Jesus for eternity. Vibrate always, loving and serving everyone. Vibrate always, loving and serving everyone. When we give our heart in charity, our lives are transforming into song. Our dreams become reality. And we join Jesus for eternity. Vibrate always, loving and serving everyone. Vibrate always, loving and serving everyone. And today I'm gonna sing a different song. I think I never sang this song here. Workers from the Last Hour. We are free to sow, but the harvest is never late. Time flies and never turning back. Let's go planting, the land is great. We all call to work. Let's get it started now. Let's seize this special chance. Workers of the last hour, Jesus Christ is light. Brother, friend, he announced it for all the time, the consoler. Now we have in hands His Spirit is love. of love is trust. We'll learn alongside him that the Christian never gets tired. We are called to war. Let's get it started. Let's get it started now. Let's seize this special chance. Workers of the last hour, Jesus Christ is light. Brother, friend, he announced it for all the time, the consoler. Now we have in hands his spirit is love.
Someone told me long ago that life is just a long road. Sorry, mate, but life to me is way much more. No matter what it seems to be, it's always time to make a change. Sometimes all we need is only one more chance. So try, build that bridge over troubled waters, fly. If that's all that you have left to do, I want more. I want more happy sunny days. I want more happy smiles on your face. Love sparkling the eyes. Tears no more, no more sorrows, no more bad days. No more cries, no more dark cold place. No more fear, no more fight. Someone told me long ago that life is just a long road. Sorry, babe, but life to me is way much more. No matter what it seems to be, it's always time to make a change. Sometimes all we need is only one more chance. So try, build a bridge over troubled water, fly. If that's all that you have left to do, I want more. I want more happy sunny days. I want more happy smiles on your face. Love sparkling the eyes. Tears no more, no more sorrow, no more bad days. No more cries, no more dark cold place. No more fear, no more fight. I want more happy sunny days. I want more happy smiles on your face. Love sparkling the eyes. Tears no more sorrow, no more bad days. No more cries, no more dark cold place. No more fear, no more fight. Let the sun on the way shine, shine. Let the sun of the way shine, 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 shine.
spark created by God. I will follow your path, Father, 'cause nobody's alone in life, and the scars of my destiny will be healed by your love. Disseminate wherever you are, glowing seeds of love, as our Master Jesus taught. As our Master Jesus taught.
Another day, another flower, another minute past the hour. Someday the sky is blue, and suddenly we can't see through. And every day is a fresh new start, when the sun turns off the moonlight. We get another chance to choose the road we want to cruise. And on the other side of the mountain, there's always a whole new road, a new beginning calling after every end. There are a million reasons to pick you up after every fall. It's always a win in the new round. On the other side of the mountain, there's always a whole new road, and a new beginning calling after every end. And there are a million reasons to pick you up after every fall. It's always a win. It's always a win in the new round. It's always a win in the new round. It's always a win in the new round.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our public meeting. We thank everyone for joining us tonight. And before we start, we would like to share a couple of announcements. We ask that you turn your phone off, your phone notifications, and find a quiet place during this time if possible. Our meeting will have a 30-minute presentation followed by Q&A. After the presentation, we will have a spiritual treatment with passes and magnetized water. So we invite you to set aside a container with water to be magnetized. We also would like to announce that our public meeting is being retransmitted today by Continental Concafas Americas through their Facebook, and will also be retransmitted every Wednesday at 8 p.m. East by Kardec Radio through their Facebook and YouTube. And now we have a special invitation for those who want to learn more about Spiritism. Get to Know Spiritism is a free and online course that happens every Saturday at 5:15 p.m. East, and new classes will be starting on fall. More information will be given soon, so stay tuned. Do you know that we offer virtual live gospel at home? The Gospel at Home is an effective support for you and your family's spiritual harmony. We will motivate and guide you in establishing and maintaining the Gospel at Home study meetings. By posting the chat, you can request it. So please let us know. And you are also welcome to include your name or someone else's name on the list for positive vibrations, incarnate or discarnate. The person you indicate will be assisted by the good spirits to provide healing energy and strengthen goodwill. Please find the link in our chat. So the topic of today's meeting is the narrow door, items 3 to 5 from chapter 18. Many are called, but few are chosen, which will be facilitated by our sister Anna Oliveira from Alabama, US. Everyone is welcome to write comments and questions in the chat, and we will address the questions at the end of the talk. And now we would like to invite our speaker, Anna, and she will be also doing our opening prayer. Good evening, Anna.
Hi, how's everyone?
I'm doing well. I'm glad that you are here to talk a little bit with us.
My pleasure as always.
Okay, so I will be back in the end, okay?
Okay, all right. So let's do our initial prayer. So let's close our eyes and with a lot of faith in our hearts, let's open our hearts, our minds, our spirits to the sweet presence of our Master Jesus here in this space, here with us, shedding and sharing so much love in our direction, bringing us vibrations of peace, expanding our knowledge so that we can learn more from Him, calming the storms of our minds, our bodies, our earthly life at this moment, so that we can be one with Him and with the Father, and in the company of the good spirits, nurture our souls, get the breath of life, get the inspiration to do better, to be better, and together, having the courage and the joy to work on ourselves so that we can every day be a better version of ourselves. Jesus, we ask you that you bless all that are watching right now, that will be watching and listening later on demand, all the workers around this program, this activity. So bless us, Jesus, so we can be instruments of your peace. And may, Master, the message of today be your message, but more than words, may the message of today carry your grace, your light, your peace, and your love to all that are connected to it. And so be it. Hello, friends. So I will have to start and ask for your forgiveness because I will need to change um, the the topic um, of our public meeting today. So um, I am going to be talking about this book that I don't know. Okay, my computer is a little bit slow today, but hopefully you can see the correct slide. So it should say being awake. And this, it's one of the messages in this book, Life Challenges and Solutions by Divaldo Franco. That's the medium. And the spirit author is Joanna de Angelis. So this book has very interesting, it's a very nice book, but it has like messages that sometimes are just like a couple of pages. But I, try to talk about this one, being awake, right? So what does that mean? What does Joanna D'Angeli wants us to talk about? So she starts actually by alerting us that in general, we as humankind, we live in a sleep state. Have you thought about that? Is that what you think, humankind is just asleep? And she explains a little bit more. She says that is in a stage of lethargy, right? So no action. And she says that that's why we suffer. And we suffer the worst sickness possible, that is the ignorance of ourselves, of our destinies, and the meaning of our existence. So that's a lot to unpack right there. So that's probably the first point of reflection. Are we in a sleep state when it relates to knowing who we are, knowing what our destiny is, and knowing the meaning of our existence? Is it the meaning of my existence here, of Anna's existence? Go to work, pay bills, go to sleep, eat a lot because she likes to eat. She'll have to confess that. And then start it all over the next day. What is Anna's destiny? Is it to be punished for things that she did wrong? It's for really to suffer a lot. It's her destiny may be random because there's no order to things. There's no God kind of organizing everything, and there's no superior power or anything behind it. We are just like little robots that, again, we wake up, we pay bills, we work or we study, right? If you were a baby, we cry and we sleep and we eat. And when we're adults, there's less time to cry. Most of the time is that really the meaning of our existence, right? So she says that and that's the one of the another alerts that comes. So she's describing the situation in saying that that lack of awareness of our destiny, of the purpose of our lives, right? Not knowing, not thinking, let's go ahead and spoil, not having the real idea, right? The truthfully idea that we are immortal with spirits. And this birth or this incarnation is just one chapter. There has been a before and there will be an after based on what we are doing with this opportunity right here. So in this stage of being asleep or being oblivious to the true destiny of our lives, we are comfortable. We complain, but mostly we did nothing to change things that are making not only us, but our society also ill, right? So, in these things that we complain about most of the times are actually characteristics of ourselves. And she says that, that is due to our masochist need to inspire pity. They bemoan themselves. So, you know, it's so if I think that, well, maybe Anna's destiny is not just to wake up again, work, pay bills, and go to sleep and start it all over again. But what is Anna doing to really change the situation? That is a lot to ask, maybe. That will require Anna's to spend so much effort than if Anna just carries on with the status quo. It's much easier for Anna instead of taking charge of her own life and seeing what can she do for that afterlife. What, right, what we talk about, the gospel talk about, what kind of treasures am I putting together that actually I can take with me, that is actually truly mine, right? But that takes a lot of work. So, but Anna, the one of the easiest things for her is just to say, oh, I'm a poor leader sinner. I'm not perfect. I mean, that's my life. It is what it is. I can't do anything else, right? So Joanna in this message is alerting us that us, right, Anna, yield to circumstances of self-indulgence and make no real effort to overcome any obstacles that may pose a threat or hindrance to their progress, right? So instead of thinking, what really can I do, Anna, because she's tired, because she's just still waking up again, working, paying bills, and going to sleep and doing it all over again, instead of really doing something, you know, big, she just goes and eats a lot of sweets to kind of comfort her, right? That's the self-indulgence. It's sometimes things that we use to comfort us instead of making things, taking actions that really are going to change our life, that really is going to remove those obstacles, that is going to help us overcome those obstacles to our spiritual progress, to our spiritual evolution, right? So that is one of the questions, that this is much of a reflection, and I'm using my name and really putting, that hat on myself, on my head. But I think that, I don't want to speak for Joanna De Angelis, right? But I think this is the purpose of those messages. This is the purpose of the practice of Spiritism. So if I believe in the afterlife, in reincarnation, so what? What am I doing in my day to day earthly life that reflects that thought, right? It's not just enough to know, right? A lot of people know that smoking is bad for you. That's probably one of the number one things that science, public health has already shown that it's one habit that we have that has prejudice to our health. There's no safe limit. And we know if we could stop that, we would improve the health of the community, right? Of all of us in general. There's even the problems with secondhand smoking, right? But is because we know that and we know this for a long time, does that mean we're going to change our behavior and stop, smoking? Most of the time, not. So I think really this message, just like this gospel of Jesus Christ, invites us to evaluate the situation that we are and encourages us to actually go further, to do more, to take the next step, to keep going, to keep progressing, to not be in that lethargic, right? In that very sleepy. The gospel is, and Jesus and the high spirits and everybody that wants the betterment of the humankind, they are all inviting us to wake up, right? So, what are we not doing to aid in our progress? And she continues saying that the unconsciousness prevails in the modern world because it gives immediate gratification with no follow-up plan for attaining liberating emotions, right? So most of the time what we want something now. And this is so much the opposite of what a true transformation is. It's the opposite of what nature is. For example, if you ask my husband, one of the things that lately maybe upsets him or annoys him more currently about myself, he probably would say my habit now of gardening and doing those things, because I'm always buying things related to that. I'm spending time with that. But, you know, that activity, he doesn't understand yet. And maybe because I haven't explained it fully yet, and I'm just joking. He's very nice and very understanding. I'm not trying to put him on the hot seat. But gardening to me, it's really makes me work on this. There's no immediate gratification in gardening. If you try before, I mean, you put a little seed there, you believe something is going to happen. You take care of it so it happened, but you have no idea which ones are going to grow or not. I can tell you I have some success with some tomato plants. I can take care most of the time of little orchids, but some other plants, I cannot keep them happy and healthy, unfortunately, right? So, and even some things that I did before, if I buy a new brand of seeds or something, how do I know that they're going to flourish? So I have to keep working on that until 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months, a year passes. And then I can now see, oh, that little plant is giving me peppers now. And I planted it from the seed, or the little tomato plant is giving me now those small, tiny, cute tomatoes. And I planted it from the specific seeds. So you have to have time. There's no immediate gratification. It's not planting now, snapping your fingers. You have then a plant, you snap your fingers again. Now you have the fruit or the flowers. That's not how it works. So that keeps me grounded a little bit and keeps me trusting the system, nature, and, kind of getting myself to a more natural and healthy pace of life, right? Because that's how it works in in nature, right? Nothing is right away. It's beautiful. Nature is plentiful, and it is very complex, but it's not like, a miracle like that. There's no immediate gratification. Things take time for maturing and growing and you flourishing, right? But usually we are used to this very fast life where everything has to be for yesterday. And even though we know and we feel that that is not natural, but that's the rhythm that we put ourselves in, of working too much, of getting too much. Or there's not enough time for this. I have to work and work and work because there's not enough years. I have to have this promotion and that. I have to get this much money. I have to buy this car and the house, and I have to provide for my kids for this. And even sometimes we even keep others in this excuse that we just have to keep going and going, not remembering that we are immortal spirits, and most of these things that we are spending so much time working on, these things, they do not carry with us. We are not going to carry those things. They are not going to be translating to anything beneficial in the afterlife, right? So she says that then the society then is divided in mutual hostile groups that grow further apart, whereas they should work together to eliminate separatist barriers and become aware of their infinite potential for self-realization and spiritual awakening. We can see that the more of a materialistic route we take in life, more isolated we probably get from others. If we start taking a more spiritualist outcome, in life or approach to life, we probably are going to be loving ourselves more, the environment more, other people more, will value more the interpersonal connections, charity, helping others. But if I am in that very sleepy, right, and robotic uh, way of life that Joanna mentions to us in the beginning, where I'm just going through the motions, fighting, stressing out, destroying my health, maybe the health of others, because I'm so stressed and I'm so impossible to get along with in the family, in the workplace, right? Because I know the stress, I think, comes from that truth. Unconsciously, we know that that's not healthy, that's not good, but we feel like we have to keep going. We have to keep conforming, right? So another thing for us to consider: am I drawing closer or apart from my brothers and sisters? Am I a team player, right? So again, I am, even if I start complaining a little bit or being a little bit awake of this very robotic, sleepy, materialistic way that I'm isolated, individualist way that I'm behaving, I know a little bit, but then instead of doing something to change it, I just go into this, immediate reward. I try just to numb myself, and then there's all the problems with numbing ourselves, right? With food, sometimes with sex, sometimes with buying things too much just because we have, or maybe even using, substances, right? Drugs, alcohol, smoking, illicit drugs, or anything else to numb ourselves and to bring that pleasure that we don't feel every day. So she says that, that is, they status quo, but there is this moment that comes inevitably, right? That we cannot avoid when the individuals and are induced to either awaken or remain dead to reality. So even though we're feeling a certain way, God does not forsake anybody, right? Jesus is always there encouraging us to be workers in his vineyard, right? In constructing this world that is better, right? These relationships, a better version of ourselves that will contribute to the overall, you know, status of humankind. So now we have an option. Do we awaken or from this heavy sleep, or do we remain dead for reality? So she's saying, in order to awaken, that hopefully we'll all agree that that's the best thing that we have to do. She says that we must take every effort possible to break the chains of self pity and unhappiness, self deprecation, and self disrespect. So again, and you're thinking, why we are gonna, and if you see this, this is something probably that is common in psychology, in self help, in some other things, but this comes from our practice of spiritism too, because we know there are no victims, right? We know that there is a reason for every trouble, every problems that we have in our lives, right? We either created this problem now, maybe a week ago, maybe 2 hours ago. Like, let's say if you eat a lot of sweets, I mean, you just need a couple of hours to really regret what you did. But maybe it was something that you did 10 years ago. You work and you never saved, you would spend too much. Now you don't have much money, you have no savings, right? Or it can be something that happened, many incarnations, many births before. But if God is just, then everything, right, that happens in have to be a part of his justice, right? So there is no really time or place for self-pity and unhappiness, self-deprecation and self-disrespect. There has to be self-love, and it has to be honesty. Like, yes, I could be better, I am not, but I'm probably better than I was before. I'll work and I'll get help because I'm not alone. Nobody's ever alone. And I will get this will get better. But not like self-pity and self-deprecation and self-disrespect, but self-love and self-confidence, right? That things will get better. So what effort am I making or am I not making to break these chains of self-pity and unhappiness, self-deprecation and self-disrespect that Joanna de Angelis is mentioning here, right? She's saying being awake means self fulfillment, being aware of one's inner reality and the infinite possibilities for growth that are within one's reach, right? And I know that unfortunately, this expression of being awake or being woken has a very bad intonation right now, right? Or a connotation or a meaning now in society. That's a way also that people even are using this word that means, the being awake. And we usually try to use this for people they are becoming to be more sensitive, that they are coming out and breaking barriers. Now there are so many other interpretations, and we are using this, part of this concept to actually separate ourselves instead of putting us together the same way that she's meaning here. But she's explaining what it means. So it's meaning self-fulfillment, knowing our reality. That probably, if I look at my reality, not very good, but also not forgetting the possibilities for growth, right? So she says that it means freeing oneself from the fears that keep one immobilized in uselessness, rediscovering the joy of living and acting, broadening one's communication with nature and all living beings, multiplying the means of human dignification and making them available to everybody, and submitting oneself to the eloquent purpose of enlightenment found everywhere, right? So what are my fears that impede me, right? That prohibits me to be spiritually awakened. So she mentions and she brings this reference from the Bible that says the Apostle Paul, he was so convinced of the value of awakening to consciousness that in Ephesians 5:14 he exclaims, "Wake up, you who sleep, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you." Right? All the message of the gospel, it's a proactive and active message. Is if you want to follow me, take your cross and follow me. Wake up, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. And she says that this is because sleep is a form of death, a wasted educational, enlightening, therapeutical, enriching opportunity, right? So, and again, to bring another spiritist concept, we really don't believe in death because we are immortal spirits. So in this death, she's saying that sleep is a form of death in the way that there's only death when we are not taking advantage of that moment, right? Because we are immortal spirits. So life continues, but we can decide to either live it, right? Or to be in the state of sleeping. Remembering the Christ when he says, I came so that you have life and life in abundance. And sometimes I think we get confused with the idea that maybe I am alive just because my pulse is pulsing, right? So if somebody puts their fingers on my wrist, they can feel my, you know, um, blood vessels pulsing. So my heart is probably beating, so that means that I'm alive. But in spiritism, right, Jesus tell us that live, he says he doesn't want us just to live, just to breathe and to walk. And like I said, and maybe it's kind of funny, and you saw the you already memorize it. It's not just wake up, go to work, pay bills, and go to sleep and start everything over, right? It's much more than that, right? So she's saying that in this sense, when individuals are awake, Jesus illuminate them so that they may advance courageously in their search for self-identification. And what a master we have in Jesus Christ, right? He does not, he's there, ready to help, wanting to help, you know, ready, willing, you know, ready to go. But he's not gonna do anything that we do not want to do. So for him to illuminate us, we gotta be awake. We have to really say truthfully, right? Genuinely. We have not just to say, but do things that show that we really want to start or continue our spiritual awakening. And she mentioned that all victors have been persons awakened to their endeavor and commitment to life, aware of their own worth without sentimentality or in psychological flights of self-deprecation and self-punishment. Unfurling the banner of courage, they enter the battle, overcoming vices and developing virtues on the immense field of the conscious, like Krishna's proposal to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, that marvelous canticle of psychological dignity and saga about a victor over his own passions. Right? Most of the time, we feel like the fight is with others, but we know the fight is really with ourselves, right? She says awakened individuals do not allow themselves the cunning of Sisyphus or the cruelty of Zeus, characters that felt the need to display their strength and power in the fragility of the immature and unconscious human being. She said, thus, when the prince Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, that is, when he allowed himself to be enlightened by awakening from his lethargy, one of his disciples asked him after a lesson, Lord, Have you found God? And if so, where? The missionary thought for a moment and then answered without preambles. After penetrating my own reality, I found God in my innermost being, in great serenity and dignifying activity. So sometimes we do not put serenity and activity in the same message, right? In the same sentence, but that's what it is that peace, but it's an active peace, right? So serenity and dignifying activity. So when individuals are awake, victories and discoveries are internal, resplendent, and peaceful, powerful as lightning, yet gentle as a morning breeze. So can we be like that? And wouldn't that be a description of our Christ too, right? That it has so much power, but it's powerful, right, in teachings and love and in vibrations, in magnetism, but gentle as a morning breeze, because he, the master, never imposed anything to anybody, was always open, was always in peace, right? So he says, she says, bearers of life, they lead other people to self-assurance, enabling them to understand those who remain asleep, who have no interest in self awareness or the end purpose of existence. They do not become irritated, weary, or upset with others who assail, persecute, or seek to afflict them. Right? So it's she's not asking us to go on a crusade now that I'm going to just tell everybody what they're doing wrong, how much they're doing wrong, and how to correct the actions, right? Or that I will be so irritated again in that self pity, thinking that people, maybe they shouldn't do what they're doing to me. Nobody's questioning that that is wrong, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to just stay there, mad at them, or, having self pity on myself instead of just trying to accept that situation, change it, and not react in a way that is going to make me feel even, lacking, or, if like I'm missing something or I don't deserve something, right? So she also mentions, Joanna de Angelis is a very highly educated spirit. So she knows a lot of information. So sometimes you're like, oh, what is she talking about? But, she brings examples from science, from other cultures, right? From other religions, from the gospel. She can talk about all kinds of topics. She says that upon meeting Jesus, Mary Magdalene awoke from her madness and was completely transformed. Paul of Tarsus woke up after Jesus called to him, and he was never the same thereafter. Francis of Assisi accepted the Master's invitation and was reborn, abandoning the old man to become nature's cantor. After awakening to reality, Leonardo da Vinci, Galileo, Newton, René Descartes, Pasteur, Albert Schweitzer, and many others in the various fields of thought, science, art, religion, and love changed course and lifted humankind to a level of greater beauty and broader happiness. So again, telling us this message, the sharing, taking care of each other, this is much better than being asleep in this robotic, individualist way of living, right? So she says, being awake means to evolve free of prejudices and limitations, open to the good and to the truth, for which one has become a trailblazer and disseminator. So this is how she ends the messages, right? And that's what I would like to end to. So remember that what we're talking about, being awakened and letting this sleep state, means actually not how you behave so much towards others. That is also part, but it starts with how and what you think about yourself and what you do to make your behavior actions really pair and align with these new thoughts and these new desires that you have for your life now. So now I want to really be more awakened. So I'm more aware of who I am. I'm more aware of my true destiny. I'm more aware of things that are really helpful for me, that bring me joy, that will help me with my health, my mental health, my spiritual health, and why not my physical health and things. And now I'm awake, meaning that I will act, that I will do things that really will bring me this joy and will bring me this transformation instead of just complain about others sometimes, but even, you know, complain about myself or put myself down, forgetting all the opportunities as an immortal spirit that I have. Even if I feel it's okay, I think, to be honest with you and say, well, that could be a little bit better, right? That's fine. What is not good is to say, well, because you are not great right now, then you're not worth of all the possibilities that are out there for us. So thank you guys for listening. I tried to stop sharing. I'm not sure if that.
Yeah, I think it's not sharing anymore. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Hi, Anna. I'm back. Thank you so much for your reflections on this topic. Even though it's a surprise topic, I think it was really in sync on what I needed to hear for my own personal journey. And you were talking about some. You were in your reflections, and it just came to me that on Sunday we were doing our charity work here, and we were listening to one Brazilian speaker, a Spiritist speaker, Haroldo,
Mhm.
and he was just saying about that how. Like us having that knowledge of the spiritual life, we should be living accordingly, right? Like we are immortal spirits and we know that. So we should be choosing well and choosing better our actions and kind of like how we are living, right? And sometimes it's so easy to just go on autopilot and, right, like don't think about things or simply just, uh, uh, like you said, right? Like just on repeat.
Mhm.
And yeah, and it reminded me also, I heard an African proverb that
Mhm.
says, I hope death finds you alive. And
Mhm.
that was so kind of like
Powerful.
powerful for me, because that's kind of what we are talking here, right? Like we
Mhm.
want to be actually living and actually enjoying and appreciating all the experiences that we are having, right?
Right. And that's the thing. Sometimes I think, I was, as you were talking, I was just thinking, I don't know really how to swim, but, I love to be in the water and on the ocean. So if you try to go against the current, right? If the waves are coming this way and you're trying to go that way, that is hard. You really have to work much more, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes there are so many distractions. I mean, we are on earth to experience this life and everything. Sometimes when I started reading the books of Victor Lewis, I was like, oh God, take me now. Just take me to the spiritual world. Like it's so much better, it's so much easier. Everything is structured. You just do. But then I was like, yeah, that's no surprise that even, when he talks about in the messengers, Andrea Lewis is really telling us of all the failures, right? And then you're thinking, but they had all this preparation. Yeah, but then they didn't have a body that, really like sweets or something like that, or that needs to sleep, that sometimes aches here and there, in the
Yeah.
joint, or as you get a little bit older, all of that, you don't have that, right? You don't have to go to work. So, but all these distractions here are not intended it's like it's to make that course a little bit more difficult, of course, because it's a test, so it cannot be totally, easy. But I think sometimes we go too much on that extreme that we forget, right, that we are immortal spirit in this material experience. And that's, who I am, and what I am is not just this body or this life. So sometimes I think we need these reminders, that's why I think we have the gospel and we have all these messages from these mentor spirits telling us, slow down,
Mhm.
wake up a little bit. You going too much in that automatic, just go with the flow. But to be a good person and to be a Christian in this world, right, in a world of trials and expiation, sometimes I mean being a nonconformist. You have to do things a little bit different from what people expect, right?
Mhm.
Maybe if you go to a store and people don't charge you, let's say you took three things, they only charge you for two. People don't expect you to tell them, this is wrong. You undercharge me, but that but that is the right thing to do. So it's really living not like the majority is living, so that we can change, and then we can get better and the majority can change. And then because who is the humanity? It's you and me. Sometimes I think even when we are younger, or maybe when we don't spend too much time thinking about those things, we think that to change society, I have to change other people. I have to be nagging at my siblings. I have to be talking to my parents. I have to be talking to my children, you know. But if everybody just took care of themselves, it will
Yeah.
be less work and it will be more effective. So, and I think really this message, I read it many times and it's very good because sometimes in trying to do good, we end up trying, to do even more harm. And there are so many pressures from outside that come from society telling us what we have to do, how we have to behave and everything. That
Mhm.
is normal to be confused, right? It's normal to sometimes go with the flow up to the time where you say, wait a minute, this is not really for me, or this is not really helpful. This is not making me happier, but it's making me sadder, right? There's no really joy on this. It's not bringing me health, but it's bringing me, disease. So then we start, but it's not easy. There are so many distractions, right? From
Mhm.
outside. So the inside has to be strong so that we can process the outside a little bit better and not let that to be, there is this very famous song, right? That is a samba from Brazil that says, may life take me. No, you take your life, right? You direct life. Not
Mhm.
life is gonna take you, deixa a vida me levar. So then it takes let it take me wherever. No, it's not like that. You have control. It's you who dictate how it goes most of the time.
Mhm. So, on this regard, we had a question from Publio, our friend, and it's exactly kind of like what we are talking about. And he's asking, what can we do in our daily lives to start this process to be awake for the real spiritual life? The first step, what would you say? What tip you would say that could be our first step?
I think it has to come with the decision, but with a decision that is not naive, right? That doesn't think that, okay, now I want to be spiritual awake and everything is going to change in my life. So yesterday Anna didn't want to do that, so she had troubles and problems, and now today she wants to be spiritual awake. So then that's gonna change. So it's understanding that it's gonna take effort. I think it's really meditating on what that really means, but having a very serene and a very natural and a very mature idea of what to expect. Because if you say, okay, I decided and then I'm just gonna go, I mean, it's like when we talk. I talk to my friends every time that somebody finishes the doctor program. I ask them, "What changed today?" So today you are a doctor. What is different
Mhm.
from yesterday? Most of them just tell me I'm more tired today than yesterday. Right. So it's not the diploma that gives you, that makes you a doctor, right? In whatever field you are. It's like after the diploma, the things that you keep doing and your work up to there, right? When I was starting to drive, it was so funny because the instructor kept saying, he said, "Why are you learning to drive?" I said, "To pass the test." He said, "But passing the test doesn't mean that you know how to drive." So we all know that, maybe we passed the test, but we didn't drive that well right after a month or months after that. Maybe now we drive so much better. Sometimes I think
Mhm.
maybe if I was in that test, I shouldn't have passed myself. So it's not just the decision that make the change, is a whole process. So it's like more of changing our attitude, towards ourselves in life, being very patient. I think sometimes, once we start to want to get better, we get very anxious and we are very hard on ourselves, right? And so I think that's why this self-pity that she talks about and things like that, there's even like a psychology now of the positive. Because usually if you go to the psychologist now, it's because you're complaining that what is wrong in here, wrong there, and wrong there. So there's a line even now that people say, no, let's celebrate the good too. Not every single thing is bad. So
Mhm.
we have to see that too. If we think that we are the best version of ourselves today, I cannot imagine on a 3 or 5 or 4
Oh,
incarnations back if this is the best version. But
yeah.
so if that already changed, then it can become better. But I think that's the thing, is a sincere and vow and commitment to change, but that is totally wrapped and in self-love, because if you don't have that, then it's not really awakening to your potentials.
Mhm.
It's just
Mhm.
just blaming yourself for the things that you can't do yet, wasting the time that you can be doing to work on being better a little bit. Great question.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anna, for your time today and for your reflections. I'm sure everybody learned something. And for me, it was really in sync to what I needed to remember for myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now we are going to move on to our spiritual treatment. And what is the spiritual treatment? PES is the transfusion of spiritual energy with the goal of assisting with our physical, emotional, and mental balance. PESs help us to restore a state of harmony and peace by replacing negative energy with healthy and positive energy. In order to receive the best benefits from passes, please follow the audio instructions or remain in prayer. You may close your eyes to help with mentalization. And during the pass, the water that you set aside will also absorb the spiritual energy that your family and you can benefit from. And we will now make a prayer in preparation for the pass, which will also be our closing prayer as well. So I invite everyone to join me in this prayer. Let's close our eyes once again, calm our hearts, and elevate our thoughts to our Master Jesus and the friendly spirits that are here with us tonight. Master Jesus, we thank you for this opportunity to learn more about Spiritism and your teachings, and also about the awakening that we always need to be reminding ourselves every day to make the decision to put into practice all the teachings that we are hearing here and that we are having from your gospel of love and charity. We ask you that you may help us in our spiritual journey. May we be able to apply these teachings in every possible opportunity that we have in our life. And may our hearts be a good soil where your word will be able to create roots and bear fruits. We also would like to put into your hands everyone that is currently in our prayer book, incarnate or discarnate. May each one of them receive vibrations of love and peace in their hearts, and may they be assisted in whatever they are in need right now. We also would like to ask for your protection for the week that we still have ahead, and we trust that you will be with us today and always. So be it.
Let us now prepare ourselves for the moment of the passes and the magnetization of water. Let's now calm our hearts, breathing in and out. Pay attention to your body. Focus on your breath and let yourself be carried by this energy. Let your thoughts pass by without judging them. Let them flow. Allow this light to be the beacon that guides you, and allow these words to penetrate your energy. Make each word an anchor of gratitude, faith, and trust. With the purpose of healing, which takes away my faith, healing every feeling of separation, of pain, let it all dissolve in this moment, leaving only love, gratitude, and trust. We ask God for the presence of our guardian angel and the friendly spirits who welcome us into this enlightened environment of our Spiritist Center. We open our plexus of love and forgiveness by mentalizing a light surrounding our hearts. Find a quiet and comfortable place to begin the mentalization process. Remove all worries from your thoughts. We ask that during the pass you breathe slowly and deeply. Let your body relax and surrender yourself to a deep meditation. Calmly imagine divine energies in soft and colorful light surrounding you in an environment of peace and spiritual warmth. Entrusting God with your most intimate desires, raise your thoughts to Jesus and the emissaries of the spiritual environment. The path begins with the cleansing of your soul. Imagine a waterfall of crystal clear water pouring over us, removing all the feelings that keep you away from faith and trust. Feel the energy of this water bathing you and deeply breathe in, feeling peace and harmony. Allow this water to wash away all the impurities and spiritual larvae, washing away all the sorrows and resentments, any feelings of hatred and revenge that hold us back and cause us harm, not only from this life, but past ones as well. Now visualize spiritual doctors around you, applying magnetic cleansing passes, sanitizing your spiritual body of all sadness and negative energy. Mentalize these negative thoughts and feelings being washed away, evaporating from your soul, like water evaporating into thin air, and being carried far away from your mind, Surround yourself with the faith that bathes your being, bringing clarity and lucidity, rebalancing every cell in your body. May the water envelop all pain and bring the clarity of opportunity that chooses peace. The answer arises in our hearts, freeing us from all evil and freeing all whom we have caused evil into and who have caused us evil, washing away all the connections that bind us. Even though we may not understand, we are freeing ourselves from all that causes us harm. Feel this cleansing penetrate your soul and release. Now that we are spiritually cleansed, imagine yourself surrounded by the light of love from the hands of Jesus. At this moment, sing words of faith and gratitude, being faithful to the light that exists in me, planted by the zealous Father. Imagine the sunlight that surrounds and enraptures, freeing us from the chains of everything that holds us down, strengthening your faith. Allow yourself to trust in this light, surrender to it, involved in pleasant feelings and feeling relieved to receive the strengthening lights. Mentalize your spiritual mentors now applying divine light for the strengthening of your mind and your emotions, leaving you feeling emotionally revitalized. Let us now mentalize the magnetization of this water. May we mentalize all the friendly spirits, magnetizing this water and filling it with everything that our bodies, minds, and soul need, so that it may be of help to us when we drink it after the Pass. Thank you, God.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We will be back next Tuesday here on Spiritism Canada and Continental Concafras Americas at 8:30 p.m. East, and next Wednesday on Kardec Radio at 8 p.m. East. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube from Spiritism Canada and Spiritist Group Paths of Light. Have a good night.
Source of love that radiates, warming up our cold night, support and comfort, support and comfort, cascades flown down the mountain, calling the children of earth with love in their heart, with love in their heart. My soul never loses hope, because your love always teaches me the solution lies in hard work. The solution lies in hard work. For my desert farina, harvest of wonderful blessings. Make you small son a good Christian. Make you small son